How's it going, everybody? I'm gonna be showing something here in a second, but I just want to do a quick conversation. Actually, I can go to it right now. There's no reason not to go to it. Um, we're gonna be talking about housing. Is it less affordable than they were in the past? Are they more? I was out of town this weekend for a football tournament, and I was talking to another parent, and her words to me were very simple and something I've heard 100 times. When are housing prices going to get back down to realistic prices so I can afford to buy them? And my answer, as I assume every realtor's answer over the last 6 months, has been now. Now is the time to buy. You want to buy now. And trying to explain to her that interest rates were so good right now that even if home prices did dip, and I'm not even convinced that they're going to, but if they did dip, you're still saving money in the long term. And then it's kind of ironic. I was talking with Brian Birds today, and he was talking about the exact same thing. And actually, there's a chart to show this. So we're going to be talking about it, going through the chart, having some conversation on it, because it's very easy for us to explain to buyers or to tell buyers, hey, listen, it's still a great time to buy. But it's hard to actually believe that. It's hard to show a true, justifiable, this is why it makes sense. And unless you start, pulling out a calculator and showing this is what you're paying in interest, and if it raises in interest, it's going to be this. It's very difficult to do. So what happened is, Keeping Current Matters, and if you don't ever go back in there and read some of the blogs and posts and Keeping Current Matters, you need to. Just an amazing site. Has a lot of great information, great stuff for you. Great stuff you can use for your own blogs as well. But there's just a fantastic thing in there about right now about what's going on with housing prices. Headlines are out there that housing affordability is declining, and those headlines are correct. No one is going to disagree that a house costs more today than it did last year. The problem is, based on inflation, based on interest rates, based on all those things, is it really more expensive? So they went back to 1975. And in 1975, and to put that in perspective, and it's a scary thing to think about, but my brother was born in 1977, and he's really old. And I hope he's watching right now so he can say something. So basically, we're talking about the lifespan of my older brother, who still looks like he's 25 years old, can still outperform most 25-year-olds. So it's not a huge time frame, but it's one of those things that it just kind of puts some things into perspective. How much housing prices have changed, what's happened. But the most insane thing is inflation and what has happened with interest rates. And interest rates have really dropped. And it's just crazy. It's just a wonderful time. And I can see by the reactions that my comments about my brother have hit the airwaves. So I'm excited. Obviously, the price of a home has appreciated dramatically over the last 45 years. So have the prices of milk, bread, just about every consumable prices rise over time. We know it as inflation. You can think about this when your grandparents used to tell you, I used to be able to go have a steak dinner for a nickel. And it's an adorable story, but it doesn't really mean much to you. We don't understand that. We don't think about that. Interest rates are the same way. When I bought my first home in 2003, I was ecstatic to get an interest rate of 6.5%. I thought that was an amazing interest rate. I was excited to see it. If I was offered a 6.5% interest rate right now, I would laugh so hard I would probably pull something in my lower back. But let's talk about when we're talking about this, we're looking at a housing price is just one component that makes up the monthly cost of the home. Another key factor is mortgage rates and the time of the purchase. Mortgage rates is huge because that's going to be your long-term dividend over the next 15 or 30 years, depending on how long of a mortgage you take out. Interest rates drastically affect how these things are going to work. Mortgage amounts. Take a median sales price at the end of the second quarter of each year as reported by the Fed, and assumes the buyer is making a 10% down payment. So they're assuming with all of these sales prices, we're going to have a 10% down payment, and they're going to use the second quarter for reporting purposes. Mortgage rates are going to look at a monthly 30-year fixed rate for June of that year as reported by Freddie Mac. So they're going to go through making sure it's fair assessment for every timeline from this year all the way back to 1975. Using a mortgage calculator, they're determining the monthly principal and interest, or PNI of the PITI of the loan. And in 2021 dollars, they're using inflation to raise the dollars to what they would be today so we can get a true apples-to-apples comparison. Green means the homes are less expensive than today. Red means they were more expensive. So if we pull up this chart, it's kind of terrifying. When we look at it, let's see, maybe I can make it bigger. So what we're looking at this chart is really cool because we're going to show The same, if you bought a home today at $337,410, your mortgage rate would be 2.77%. That is the average we're getting from Freddie Mac, based on a 30-year fixed mortgage rate. Principal and interest, $1,381. So in 2021 dollars, $1,381. Now, last year, obviously, prices have drastically gone up over the last year, and interest rates have stayed relatively low. So last year, it was cheaper to buy. Just a fact. There's nothing much we can do about it. You get the same house about $290,340, interest rate of 316, principal and interest of 1249. So your dollars would be 1311. 2015 was $260,190 at 3.98% interest, principal and interest of 1,239. So you would actually be paying more in 2021 dollars if you bought the home in 2015 than today, based on interest rates and those type of things. Now, 2010, if you notice in 2010, it's got to drop even from 2005, because 2010, as we all remember, we're coming out of the recession, the 07, 08, 09. Prices really dropped in price. There was a lot of foreclosures, so it really helped the market. So even though the interest rate's at 4.74%, you're buying at $197,550. You're actually paying less dollars back then at $1,282. The rest of this entire chart, even the year 1975 at $35,000, because it was an 8% interest, was $1,414. If you look at the 80s, the 1980, 1985, 12.7 and 12.2% interest rates. I mean, to put that in consideration, let's just use a 12% interest rate on the 337,000, which is a terrifying number. That would be, oh my gosh, as hard as that is to actually think about, a $3,500 interest payment every month on your $337,000 home. That's crazy. So think about that. If we had the same interest rates in 1985 that we had today, your interest only payment, not including your principal's interest, so we would have to add $1,381 to that. So you're talking $4,500 for a monthly payment if we had that same 12% interest rate. So just interest rate, just to show you the drastic changes of what they are from then to today, are just astronomical. It's just such a really good deal to be able to sit there and think about what we can do. I mean, a $35,000 home at 8.9% interest with a principal interest of $280. In today's dollars, you're still looking, you paid more money in today's dollars than you did back in 1975. Just a great time to do it. Take a screenshot of this picture, do whatever you need to do to show the value of how it works and what it's going to do and how it's going to work for or against you, because it's an important conversation. As I say, I just think this chart is it's just the best way to have that conversation with your clients, because so many buyers are on the fence right now saying, listen, I'd love to buy a home. I hear how hard it is. Why would I buy a home when prices have gone up so much? What happens if they go down? What happens if they don't? I mean, Austin, Dallas, those markets have seen huge expanses, huge growth in their years over the last couple of years. Just stopping the share screen right there. And we don't see any sign of it going away anytime soon. So I don't want you to sit there and be like, oh, it's a great idea to hold off till tomorrow. If you're in the wrong market, it could go years and years. And sooner or later, interest rates are going to start hopping back up. So just sit there and to tell your clients, hey, wait for tomorrow. Now, I don't think you tell your clients to buy a house because you want your clients to buy a house. It's got to make sense. And I think this chart does a very good job of showing you that even though prices are going up with interest rates the way they are, it still makes sense to buy a house right now. If you can get those interest rates that low, there's no reason not to be getting there and getting in debt and getting that. We've had conversations. I had Cheryl Montenegro on in the past talking about how many people are refinancing right now and the savings that they're making in that time. I'm not sure if Brian is in the background or not, has any conversation he wants to say on this as well. I know. Oh, he does there. Brian, your thoughts as well.
Yeah. So two things. One, guys, this is a conversation that a lot of people are not having. This is not the public opinion. Keeping Current Matters, which is one of my favorite places, keeps good content always relevant. And you can brand that content to yourself, but the context of the content is the key here. You want to make sure that you're putting in perspective to a client the understanding of the affordability index, right? The ability to afford a home today is better than it was in the 80s, in the 90s, and even back in the 70s. It is more reasonable to buy a home. And 2010 is kind of a moot point because people were buying it at a discount. So that's not even real. Now, are you going to buy a house better than your friend did last year? The answer is no, because 2020 is gone, it's over, it's finished, and it was a great time to buy a house. We all said this. You didn't listen, that's okay. I still have the opportunity for you to win, and you're going to win better than what your parents did 20 years ago, and you're going to win better than what your grandparents did 40 years ago. That's the category that we need to be presenting to these buyers that are on the fence. Now, in that same Keeping Current Matters, the blog post directly after that one, there's a discussion about the increase of appreciation. And appreciation is another category that has to be revived and looked at on a regular basis, because El Paso statically over the last 15 years has seen a month or a yearly appreciation of about 2 to 3%. Over the last 2 years, we've seen 15 and 22 average appreciation rates across point. So you're talking 10 years worth of appreciation in a matter of a year and a half.
Especially from the Central Plains District.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be representative of the fact that it is a great time to sell. It is a great time to buy. With this forbearance lingering, it is a great time to invest. For the first time in real estate recorded history, it is almost good across the board. Now, we come to this category of, does the political climate maintain? The government is spending at ungodly amounts of money. So the question is, does that maintain? I don't know, but the truth is even if it goes down, which it won't go down much because people still need a place to live, it won't go down enough that it will probably affect or hurt anybody. So be responsible and be representative of what the market is doing, and stop regurgitating the public opinion that's being spewed on broadcast news. Listen to the facts. The facts tell a whole different story.
Well, I think the crazy thing about this market is this market is something where we've never seen before. Because usually in a real estate market, we have reverse cyclical natures, right? When the property management division is doing good, their sales side is doing bad. Right now, both our sales side and our property management side have no inventory. So it's not like, we can do both. For buyers right now, it's not like, I'll just go rent a house. We're seeing insane numbers of applications on rental properties. Rental properties are taken off the shelves within hours as soon as they're put on the market. Same with listings, are still getting multiple offers on the first day of the contract. So for a buyer out there, it is a scary time. But if you're a seller and you're looking to sell and buy, it's a great time to sell because you're selling for more than you've ever done before. If you're a buyer, it's a great time to buy because interest rates are so low, you're still saving money than what you would have done 15, 20, even 40 years ago is what we just showed you. So it's just one of those crazy times. The only person that doesn't make sense right now.
And look at the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the appreciation, the concept of the rental side, for the first time in 16 years, the rentals are getting offers. Like, they're not renting for what they're renting for; they're getting offers of rent. I mean, that's crazy, right?
No, yeah. We've had multiple people say, "I'll pay you more than you're advertising," which crazy. It's nuts. And we had a conversation this morning on our rental department. We don't know what's going to happen if BAH is going to be raised in El Paso to keep up or not. That's a huge conversation. Something that if you're in the rental business, you need to have a conversation. Making sure you're aware of what's going on with BAH. It is very obvious that El Paso is very much a military town. We need to understand that, and your clients need to understand that, and the soldiers need to understand if BAH does not go up, rental properties are going up. And they're going up on average, I'd say probably 200 a month. Would you agree with that? You take the average of all rental properties that have raised.
100%.
So you're looking $200 more a month. If BAH does not 100%. Go up, some soldiers are going to either have to be putting money out of their pocket or living in not as nice conditions. So that's a conversation that needs to happen. Hopefully the powers that be in the military are paying attention and noticing that. But it's something you need to notice as well, because you need to know a house that was renting for $1,100 6 months ago is now going back on the market at $1350, possibly $1,400. And so there's less buying power for tenants. It's just a weird market where both property management as well as sales, everybody's winning and everybody's still looking to buy these properties. So it's not like we have a huge inventory of rental properties because everyone's buying. There's neither. And that's something that you need to understand and have that conversation with your buyers. I think right now for buyers, from what I've seen, the biggest roadblock to a buyer is past experience, because they remember when they bought a house last time, or their friends and family are telling them what happened when they bought a house a couple of years ago, and they're trying to get those same. I want to offer $10,000 under asking, and I want $20,000 in closing costs, and it's just not realistic. And it takes a couple deals for the buyers to realize that. But with the understanding that even if you're paying a little bit more, with the interest rates the way they are, with those things how they are now, it just absolutely makes sense to continue. It is a great market for buyers. It is a great market for sellers. It's a great market for investors who are doing property management. I mean, property management or investing, you can still get really good interest rates. Now, you're not going to get 2.7%, but you can still get very good interest rates. And as we just said, rental properties are still at a premium. So it absolutely makes sense in all categories to still be purchasing property.
100%. 100%. There is a tremendous amount of opportunity right now that everybody has the opportunity to get. So absolutely.
So if you, and that's a huge thing. If you know people who are renting property, have that conversation with them. It's like, guys, your rent is about to go up hundreds of dollars. Do you see a value in that? Is it better to get the tax benefits of owning a property? Is it better to have the ability to paint it whatever color you want, do the things that you want to do, and having those conversations? Because the rental market is not easier right now. And right now, the only person who's not, I don't want to use the word winning, is the tenants. It's hard because every single homeowner just got a huge tax increase from the Central Appraisal District, and they have to raise rates accordingly. So these huge $200-$300 rents are not even really justifying the increase in value.
And it's reverse gentrification, right? You can purchase a home today that would have cost you more yesterday, but you can rent a home today for more than you would have rented it for yesterday. So it's reversing the gentrification of where things tend to happen. It tends to be home purchasers move out renters. Right now, it's actually renters having to move to a lower scale because they don't move to a purchase. So, it's kind of all over it. And it's something that needs to be looked upon and paid attention to in a very detail oriented, because if you're not having these conversations with those clients that are calling about a rental, with those clients that are calling about, I'll buy whenever the market settles down, if you're not having the right conversations and the educated conversations, and that's the key here. This article is an educated piece of data. It has backup in data, not in a person spewing what they just heard at the coffee shop. And I hate to put it that way, but this is oftentimes the way that news is communicated in this social environment that we're dealing with. They hear it on TikTok, they see it on TikTok, and it becomes verbatim. Be careful. Know where you're getting your sources from. Use dedicated resources that are actually real estate oriented, because listen, we've seen it in the public forum too many times. They regurgitate what they hear in another facet, but they're not focused on real estate. This is something that needs to be understood and needs to be looked upon the correct way. And that's why we have this show, right? That's why Andrew comes on here to try and communicate the right thing and not communicate just junk, or for better lack of a word, what I wanted to say, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing is, it's on the internet. It has to be true. And the sad truth is, anybody can. The good thing is about the world today is everyone has a voice. The bad thing about the world is a lot of people probably shouldn't have.
Everybody doesn't need a voice. Yeah,
exactly. And that's like, I understand what you're truly looking at. We hear things, listen to professionals and people who know what's going on. I've been in real estate in one facet or another for over 23 years, and I still don't know enough to consider myself a true professional. I'm learning every day. I'm growing every day as a broker, as an agent, And if you have the belief that you know everything, it's time to retire. So with that, guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys did a screenshot of that thing. I will probably take a picture of it and throw it on a couple of our Facebook pages to make sure you guys can see it, so you know to get it. But it's just, if I'd have had this chart with me this weekend and just like this is saying exactly what I was trying to explain to you, it would have been so much more helpful, because I could see in her eyes she was like, I get it, but I don't really believe. And I just having that conversation with something back up to be like, listen, look, here it is. Flat out, interest rates, how they hurt you. When I'm saying, if interest rates go up 2%, if you're looking at $300,000 home, that's $6,000 a year more in interest. No, that can't be right. If it's not something you deal with on a daily basis, and you actually do the math and have the understanding and knowledge, the power of money is a terrifying power, and it can work for you or against you very easily.
KeepingCurrentMatters.com. That is where we pulled this data from, and it is a great place to check on a regular basis. Click on their blog. You can subscribe to them, but not necessary. If you don't want to, you can subscribe and reissue that content with your branding. So KeepingCurrentMatters.com. Great website, great content,
absolutely
great information.
And if you are a broker out there and you're looking for great stuff for your agents, it's always a great opportunity to just find something that, it's a good point to talk about. I have a huge advantage where I have a lot of great broker friends, and I will call them a lot of the guys, what issues are you seeing with your agents, so we can have these conversations? Because my goal is to make these things relevant. If it's not something my agents are having an issue with, it's in another office. Because we want to make sure, if you're paying attention to this, it's for a reason. So guys, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, tomorrow, Kent Bush and I will be going over the amendment and some conversations about that, as well as a lot of great ideas of how to make money. So I hope you guys are enjoying that series as well.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.